So psychology is a pretty interesting thing of its own, right? But when you apply it to the financial markets, you get a pretty useful tool for telling you what's going on, where am I, and therefore what might be happening next. If you're not familiar with how markets tend to work, or if you've kind of looked at the basics and not tried to find the deeper pattern underneath everything, I'll give you a quick tour of how it works now. So we use Palantir as an example here. They're in the news because they've had a massive earnings report, and that's kind of switched the market from a downtrend back towards price essentially reaching for some location higher. And all of the news right now is extremely positive, effectively creating an information bubble around anyone consuming this or anyone drawn towards Palantir right now. The information experience that you'll get is that this thing is the best thing since sliced bread again, and the earnings report are absolutely mind-boggling, sensational, and so on. So the markets themselves tend to work in one way, though, underneath all of that noise, and that's that you want to buy low and sell high, which obviously is the biggest cliche ever, but that's probably because that's the simple truth of it all. The problem is that along the journey from buying low to selling high, the market maker's job is to make as much confusion as possible in two locations. And if you look at the charts, you can probably see fairly straight away like how or where that is. It's at the bottoms here before the market explodes, and then you get it near the tops as well, where things start to get choppy and super strange. The reason for that is very simple. The market makers themselves, the people who have all the cash, they are looking to purchase everything at the bottom, right? Of course, but if they buy everything, the price is going to spike before they've had time to collect as much of it as they can as possible. So the way it tends to work is at the bottom of the market, the news that will print will be extremely bad. It will be designed to, again, create a bubble around you of total fear and paranoia. At some point, then things switch in the market, and the market makers are ready to run this up to the target that they think they can reach profitably. And after that, they have one other job, and that is to sell everything that they bought down here, right? So there's two different games going on, along with the fun part in the middle, which connects the mess. So when you look at a stock or any asset, this could be a crypto, it could be gold, oil, they all work the same underneath the surface. After you've seen this and we get to an area where it's possible that a top could come in after a huge run, this type of news becomes really interesting because of the psychology behind it. Again, they're trying to, first off, bring people in. So it's like a moth to the flame. Then after that, the bots will work out the profitability of certain types of moves, with their one priority in this area most likely being that they need to sell as much as possible without the price dumping. So that's the equivalent of trying to keep a hot air balloon in the air without ever touching the burner, or touching it as little as possible, and basically getting the crowd around you to blow air into the balloon themselves. That's essentially what's going on here. So if that sounds like interesting, but who cares, then yeah, fair enough. But if you kind of get into the markets and look at the way these things work, it gives you an opportunity because you can understand what the market is going to do through the lens of what do market makers need from the situation? How do they make money? Instead of thinking, what is the value of this company? Like, what do the earnings report mean? What does the news tell me? Because all of those things are manipulated. The one truth that cannot be broken is that they need to buy low and sell high, and then do the reverse on the other direction. All right, so that's it. If you're trading Palantir, look for this to most likely come and re-challenge this high in these areas. Wait for sensational stories. Look for Donald Trump to be talking about Palantir every day. Look for Palantir to be the cure for cancer or the end of war. If you're not a trader and you're not really interested, do yourself a favor, open up a TradingView account for free, set an alarm at this price level, and just take a look at what the news is like for Palantir when price is back in this area. And maybe you'll think I'm not so crazy after all once you see it happen for yourself. All right, see you around. Bye-bye.